And your business doesn't talk to you in words, it talks to you through your clients, through the chaos that you might have, through the ups and downs financially. I want to give you a whole different way that you can grow your business this year. A way that doesn't involve stress, anxiety, overwhelm, forcing, and feeling like you need to convince just to get another client. This is the no bullshit edition. I filmed an entire video before this one. I just watched it back and I thought, this isn't it. I'm not being truthful. I'm still leaning into a past identity that no longer serves me. One way I feel I need to perform, one way I feel that I need to be scripted and almost put on a show. So I just want to connect with you today. By the way, you see this here? That guy was me just a few years ago. What you may not believe, it was the exact same time when my business was performing at the best level. We were hitting more than 50 to 100,000 pounds per month in the account. But the problem is that I was achieving all this external success, and in society and my family and my friends were like, wow, so proud of you. But on the inside, I was burning down, as you can see. I was having panic attacks, palpitations, dizziness. I was getting numbness in my hands and feet. I remember going to see more than 20, 25 doctors, and they would say, hey, what's up? What symptoms have you got? And I would say, well, what symptoms have I not got? And it would switch from one symptom to another. The funniest thing of all is that I would do all of this nervous system regulation, breath work every single day, yoga, meditation. But the problem is that I believe, and by the way, everything I'm sharing today is my belief, it's my experience. I'm not here to say that it's everybody's truth, but my truth is that nervous system regulation you don't need to do, because your nervous system already knows what to do when you live your truth. But of course, if you continue to live a life that isn't true to you, you are living a lie, a fake version of yourself, then guess what? Your nervous system is going to jump up and down and say, hey, get back to reality, get back to you, get back to who you fundamentally are. I'll never forget leaving the last doctor that I went to see in England, and I was so excited because he took me seriously. He sat down and he said, okay, we're going to do some blood works, and then based on the results of your blood tests, when you come back in for those results, we can then do some further testing. Wonderful. I went back maybe 4 or 5 days later. He sat down with me and he said, your blood tests are perfect. You're in great shape. Get back to work. I said, but on the first appointment, we were meant to do further testing. He said, no, everything looks perfect. I walked out that doctor's office, and it's the first time that I took responsibility. You see, up until that moment, I'd been delegating everything to everybody else. My mental health, my health anxiety, even my business. I had a team and I delegated everything to them. It's almost like I expected everybody else to fix me. By the way, I'm not saying if you have any health stuff going on, please go and get the proper medical checks. I've had every medical check that I could possibly think of. They've all come back clear, which is great. But if you've got anything going on, this is my advice. Do not follow my advice in this scenario. Take responsibility once you've had all the testing. Okay, back to this conversation. For me, I learned the most life-changing lesson of all. All of the symptoms that I was having were not the problem. It was the way that I was building my business. And there is a million different ways that you can make $1 million. But I'm going to talk to you about 2 ways. The first way is to make $1 million through push and force and knowing that you can just make it happen. And I've tried that and it almost killed me. For about 3 years, I thought I was dying. I remember waking up one night about 3 a.m. and I felt like my left foot was quite literally exploding. I don't know what happened, still to this day, why it was my left foot. It was almost somebody took a pump for a tire and injected it into my foot, and it was the most horrific experience of my life, because when was it going to stop? It probably only lasted 20 seconds, maybe 10 seconds, but this kept happening. I've been on a Zoom call with maybe 300-400 people and my left arm went completely numb. And then I was talking to a room of a couple of hundred people and my tongue went completely numb. And all of these symptoms kept happening. And I thought something is wrong with me. But as I've learned through my healing over the last 3 years, there was nothing wrong with me at all. The only thing wrong was the way that I was choosing to live and build my business. It took for me to be that guy that was losing weight so rapidly, being on the brink of thinking, I'm not going to be here in 6 months or a year if I continue this way, to then finally look at myself and to take back power to me and to say that there is a second way that you can grow your business, and that is to only create from who you truly are. Because when you deviate from this truth, you get pain. Your guiding mechanism for life is what's happening with your body. And of course, we create reality on the inside, and that is expressed on the outside. And your business doesn't talk to you in words, it talks to you through your clients, through the chaos that you might have, through the ups and downs financially. And for me, having staff, having offices, and having my accountant call me saying, you'll be a cash millionaire by the end of the year, to about 9 months later, sitting in the office going, I've spent all the money, the staff have all left, or I've let them go. What have I done? I've got to look at me. I was the villain in my own story. It took radical self-forgiveness, and it still is today. It isn't a transactional thing. It's the way that we choose to live. And as I'm doing this video now, I can feel that gratitude and love for where I am today and for the simplicity of this life. We can live life in hard mode. We can build a business in hard mode. And most of my clients, I see it again and again and again. They're trying to build business in hard mode. They're putting things in the way of themselves. For me, I was living business in hard mode for so many years. Thank goodness that my body said, you're not doing this anymore. You're not going to keep building from this chaos. And it doesn't matter how much yoga or meditation you do, those things will all give you short-term relief. I remember having acupuncture sessions twice a week. And sure enough, I came out and said, I feel good. Well, of course you did. You just done some acupuncture. But then I was not dealing with the root cause. So no matter how much I did breath work, meditation, yoga, acupuncture, things came back times 2, times 3, until I admitted the truth, that I wasn't being truthful to me. You do not need to become anything new. This is important that we talk about this. If you're going to build that business, or you're in the process of it, you do not need to become something that you're not. For that time and many years leading up to it, I don't think it was specifically those 3 or 4 years that I was truly struggling with this stuff. I think it had been going on for over a decade, because I look back at videos from 10 years ago. I was in stress there. I was frustrated. I was almost shouting at the screen. Every time we had a hiccup in the business, I turned it into Everest. Even though that I wrote a gratitude diary every single day, I don't think that I was truly grateful. I would do my meditation and then go straight back to my chaos. It took for me to make one big decision, and that was about 4 years ago. I said to my long-term partner, we've been together 6 years. She ran the business with me. She's an amazing human being. We're still friends today, even though we've not been together for a few years. And I said to her, look, I want to focus on simplicity. I've always wanted to live overseas. I feel that that's my truth, where I'm at now. Location-wise, the UK, definitely not cutting it for me. Sorry if you're in the UK and you love it, it just wasn't cutting it for me. We made the move to Southeast Asia. But then something interesting happened. She woke up to her truth and she said, I don't want to live here. This isn't my truth. This is your truth. An interesting thing is that when we're not living to who we truly are, it's not just about business, it's about everything. We separated as a result, and we had a very amicable breakup on the basis that we were both finally being truthful. We both weren't being truthful. We were staying together even though we weren't destined to be together. So through that honesty, I was then able to finally be free, not from her, but be free to actually take responsibility. And it has been a journey. And I don't want to get into too much more detail, but what I will say is that over the last 3 years, there's been a lot of shedding. Last year was the year of the serpent, year of the snake, and it was a shedding year. All the bullshit, all the remaining old version of me, the limited version of me, that had to go. And I was faced with a number of circumstances, situations that revealed it to me. But thank goodness that I've embraced this path. And each time I've had that challenge, I've smiled and said, you know what? This is all part of the journey. I asked myself, what is the most simple business that helps people and creates real change and transformation in their lives? What will that look like? How will I support them? What matters to me? And what's a business where I'm not all of these limited versions of myself? And I don't feel like I'm on show or performing. I can simply sit in front of a camera and talk, for example, if it's a video like this one. And that's what I've been building. But I haven't had to become anything new. The most fascinating thing of all, and this is where the healing truly started, I've had to unbecome all the bullshit that I was in order to survive. At least I thought I had to be to survive. The whole reason why I tried to build a business with staff and offices and unnecessarily growing the business in a way that wasn't for me was because I looked up to my dad so much. He had a music shop and I grew up in that shop. So I saw my dad as the boss, and I'm the only son. I've got sisters, but I'm the only son. So of course, how do you get love from your father? You go and build your own business. Now, he wanted me to take over the music shop and I didn't play a single instrument. So we definitely had, let's just say we had a slight disagreement for a few years about that. But my dad doesn't care. He doesn't care to today. If I grew a business or if I decided to work in a local gym or whatever, as long as I'm happy, healthy, and a good person, everything else is details. And you start to realize this, that there are these intrinsic drivers. There is the healed version of ourselves that we can grow with. But then there's the unhealed version. And the unhealed version of me, even though that I respect his courage, I respect how he got out of bed every day, he definitely wasn't lazy, I respect all of that. And I give him all the love. I'm talking about the 3 years, 5 years, 10 years younger version of me. I respect that guy. But at the same time, there comes a point in your life and in your business where you go, is this really me? Do I want to serve my clients this way? Do I want to live this way? The last 3 years has allowed me to do that. And this has been the most fascinating part of the journey for me. When I step back from all of it and I just allow me to return to source, return to my energy, my energetics, things started to flow effortlessly. My body started to heal. I started to put weight on effortlessly. I started to make better decisions unconsciously. It wasn't even a force that I need to eat healthy or I'm not going to drink alcohol and I'm not going to party. I just lost the desire. Because when the trauma is no longer driving you, you don't feel that you have to self-sabotage. You don't need to put a band-aid over the wound. You don't need to feel good now, because actually on a deep level, if you were truly honest, you're not facing you, because you only meet you in this world. Everything is you manifested into the physical world. So I tell my clients, for me, sales training is bullshit. Nobody wants to sell in these technique fashion and ask set questions and get set answers, mirror the client. What we want to do is we want to sell from our truth. We want to sell in a way that makes sense for us. So all of my clients, this is the work that we do on a deep level. What's fascinating is that it's a combination of building a business that works for you and is in flow. Because when you're in flow, you can't do anything wrong. When you're out of flow, you can't do anything right. And that's why when I filmed this entire video from start to finish, and I could still feel that performative version of me, he's still there, and I know that. But now he doesn't have the driver's seat. He's in the passenger seat. He's more of an observer that I say, stay there. Sometimes he tries to take the wheel. So I do my best today to grow my business, my life from the healed version of me. And I want to share this with you today because the chances are you're probably still watching on the basis that this relates to you. And there's something in your life, in your business, where you're trying to force a little bit. Pay attention, observe, notice when your breathing is shallow. Notice when you are overthinking and ruminating on something instead of being purely present. I'll call it a technique, but it's really not. One of the principles that I teach to my clients is when you're sat down with a potential new client, let's say you're online or face-to-face, the only thing that matters is that you are entirely present with that individual in front of you. And the only way to be entirely present is that you are there to help them and you totally forget about you. And now everything happens through you, as opposed to feeling like it's you versus them, and you can be this wonderful team. And this is how I teach to sell. And it's the same in business overall, because the most important client that you're ever going to have is not somebody who's going to pay you, it's the individual you see in the mirror. That doesn't mean that you're forcing that individual and pushing, because if that is it, that probably means it wasn't for you. Now, if you haven't exercised for 5 years and you've got in a really bad habit of eating the wrong foods, then you probably do need to force yourself a little bit to go to the gym and to get started, or to at least start exercising and eat healthy. I get that. But if that's your whole setup, then that's not the right way, my friend. Step back, ask, how do I do this from a place that is my truth, where I feel good, genuinely, I'm fulfilled? Then the money flows too, the clients, everything. I can talk to you strategically another time. But right now, let me know, how's your energy? How are you showing up for you? Are you treating yourself as the most important client? Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Also, I appreciate every single viewer, and especially when you hit the subscribe button. Thank you again.